Hey guys, in this tutorial I would like to show you how to create this flag effect with particles inside Cinema 4D and Redshift render. We'll be using X particles, so you have to build this plugin to use because I'm trying to create the same effect with Cinema 4D particles and I didn't get so good result with it like with X particles. So let's go into the Cinema 4D and create this particle effect. So let's start to build the scene inside Cinema 4D. This is my working layout and it's pretty much the same that we have with standard. I just placed a few different commands here that I usually work. So let's start to build the scene, and first part we have to build the flag setup. So I'm starting with cylinder and make stick for the flag. And we need axis tool that I place inside the cylinder and make it full range for y-axis. So we able to control the height from ground. And I think we can go with something like this, and it's good for start, I think. So the next one, we have to create plane for class and make shape that will be similar to the flag. I think something like this. Don't have to make it super big. And important is to make intersection between these two geometries. So now let's add polygons. I'm pressing NB, and here I think we have to start with 150, maybe too much, maybe 100, something like this. And we will be using connections, and we need polygons here to make connections between cylinder and plane. So for plane, let's go with 36, and we need a lot here. Let me see, something like this, yeah. And now I'm turn off the grid. Also let me turn off all stuff that we don't need, axis, grid, and something like that. So now we have the flag, and let's start with connection and simulation. But first, let me create null object, make it flag, and place these two guys inside the folder. And I think we have to rotate this a little bit, so make it like it's into the floor, maybe like this one. So next, I create tags, simulation tag class for plane, and the same for cylinder. Because we can't use collider, we have to keep inside the scene two simulated objects that will be connected between each other. But for cylinder, we go to mix animation and press this checkbox to with pins. That means when we have influence 100, it's like animated object, actually simulated object, but if I press play, we don't have any simulation for cylinder, only for class. But if you make this, for example, 11 on 10, you can see it started to work simulation for cylinder too. So in both cases it will be simulated object, but if we have 100% for influence, it's like keeping inside the scene simulated object but doing nothing with it. So it's cool for connection. So now we go to the plane, text, and choose connector. I'm press update live, and we already can see the connection between geometry. So if you go there, you also can, if you have static object, like in this case, you can pin these points, but if you will need to animate the like this stick with cloth, it will be impossible. And also you can keep the setup procedural, because if you would like to pin this class with simulation, you have to go there and fix points, but you have to convert this to polygons, so you will lose access to your grid. So for me, this one is better one to use. Let's test this one and press play, and looks like it's still not enough. So Search radius, let's set up for 5 and keep the same connections. Press play again. Yeah, now it works. So now we have to set up our class simulation. I think it's for now maybe too much polygons, but let's go here to the surface, and now we have 10 for bendiness, but maybe we can decrease the polygon count like 50 by 50, something like this. Yeah, it will good for start. So next one we will create wind. I press Shift C and type wind. So we have to rotate that and maybe make it to work a little bit up like this. Go to object, let's choose aerodynamic wind, maybe 100 for speed and 25% for turbulence, and the same value for frequency. Yeah, we definitely need more speed, maybe 200. And here, when we have connections, always if you change something in your object, you have to go to the connection. As you can see right now, we have super weird connection. So just update this to change any parameters. Let's press play again. Yeah, now it works correctly, but we have to increase maybe 500. Right. Yeah, now it's much better, but I think it's not enough turbulence. We need more frames inside the scene, and for turbulence, let's try 75. Okay, we have to make it different ways, so maybe 25 again, 700 for wind, and we can add turbulence separately. So this is basic setup with wind, but we can press Shift C and type turbulence. And for turbulence, let's say 15 and 25. And we can add more, like 30, to see the result. 50. Let's try 50. Yeah, I like this one. And now we can add more polygons. Maybe 75 by 75. Go to connection, again update connections. Let's check again. Yeah, with polygons, when we have more polygons, it looks more like cloth. Okay, so now I think we can do less turbulence for wind. Maybe higher speed. Yeah, I like this one. Okay, so the next part will be to add particles and other stuff. So first, let's go to the simulation and KK scene. I also prefer sometimes to bake it to Alembic file to speed up the process, but right now I think we can go only with cached simulation, and we can bake it to Alembic later. It's not complex simulations, so the cache should be pretty fast. All right, let's see. Yep. So now we don't need to, guys. So I'm turn off and hide. I always have some layers to work faster and hide things that I don't use in. So let me hide this too. And now we can go and work with the particles. So we will need X particles for this now. So I create an X particle system. And the main thing for this, for like effect for tearing cloth, we need texture. So I prepare it. You can use any texture that you like. I create standard cinema 4D material because we can use only standard material to emit for X particles. So I'm choose this one, make it flag standard. And to the color channel, let me see. Where is my prepared? So yeah, I have this one. Let me apply this one. So this is the texture. We will be using this channel for coloring particles. And we don't need any reflectance here, but we need alpha. Actually, we don't need alpha 2 for color. We will need for redshift, but to make particles emit from this part that we highlighted with white channel, we can try to use this too. So let's see. We have this one. And it looks like this one. But as you can see, we have this line here. So let's go and maybe offset a little bit like this. You can fix this one later, maybe just 0.1. Yeah, it's not perfect texture. I'm just drawing this one in Photoshop, so it's pretty rough and simple, but I think you understand the idea to use alpha masks for texturing. So now let's go to the emitter object, choose object mode, place or plane, and here we can choose texture, go to the texture and use this texture tab. So for particles emit channel we use in alpha, and for color we use in color. Let's see if it works. It definitely works for color, but to see when the particles emitting go to the emission, we don't need any speed. So yeah, looks like it works. Let me also, we can control this one. If you go to the emitter tab and here stick particle to source object. So as you can see, the area where we don't have any texture, we're not emitting particles and we have correct color representation. Okay, we're done with this. Let's turn off this one. So now we had some forces and we will be using wind and turbulence too. So let me create wind. I'm using Nexus wind. It's much faster than standard one. So I place in the same direction, but maybe I'm just a bit rotate, so we will have particles look like moving in front of us. And here I choose one Karman and start with standard settings. So now it's something like this. So what I think we have to do for this now, let's make, I think we need to connect the particles between each other to make some trails. So let's keep the wind in starter settings right now and create constraints. And I think we need, let's use connection bursts and test with standard. Yeah, now we have more connection, as you can see, but it's pretty much for this like the loopy effect. And it's super speedy right now, so maybe we can go with 25 for variation and just 100. And for constraints, let's test different type. I think maybe distance constraints. And for radius, I think we go with 20. And connections limit, let's try 32. Yeah, but now it's like too much connection for now. So let's go with 4. And looks like we have to decrease the radius maybe to 4 too. So you have to find right settings here. I like this one, yeah, to get these trails, but let's see. For first, I think we don't have to rotate wind on Y direction, so I'm turn off this one. And let's go to the emitter display, from squares to dots, and add a lot of particles, maybe 10,000 for now, but we will increase on rendering. Yeah, so we have lots of details right now. And I think we need more turbulence. We can use turbulence here, but I like to use, for example, Voronoi with, let's start with 25. Yeah, this one much better. And we have these cool trails, so maybe we can test some connect, actually maybe to increase iteration to 5. And maybe we can make less radius here to make more gaps between particles, but more particles connected. So for example, we can make radius by 5, but connections to 16. It's like, looks like more fluid simulation, but I like these gaps, free space between particles. It's like tearing effect for particles, something like this. I like this one. Yeah. In the end, we have to add more particles because on render we have to see lots of details from close-up. If you will not using close-up shots, you can keep this one and speed up your render. But if you have shots like, for example, something like this, and if you emit, you can see we have a lot of free space, so you definitely have to add more. So the next one, let's make the cloth like with particles too, like it made from small stones. I'll be using matrix. So for now, let's save the project. Usually it takes some time when you're using Cinema 4D simulations like Claws or something like this. And if you have KKit's simulations, it can take a long time to save your project, so be careful with it. And now let's catch the particle sim and go to utilities and choose cache. And usually I'm saving my cache in the same folder that I have my project. And now we can add more. Let's test this one actually. This 100,000. Maybe it will be too much. Let's see. My PC is not super strong, but it should work. X particles much faster right now than it was. It looks nice for me. Even I think maybe it's too much particles. Let's see. But I like the color trails here, so super nice effect. And maybe it still go like too much straight. And also I forgot to add particle life, so let's do a few changes before cache. So I'm just rotate this one a little bit. White odds. We have to choose wind to something like this, and inside the meter, let's say for lifespan, we have this range with 45 frames of variation. Also for particles, a few important things. If you want to see how it will be looks exactly in rendering, I mean for size, you have to go to display, from dots to circle. Let me make it less for now. So now you can see your real particle size, and as you can see, it's pretty big for now. So I'm gonna make it much lower size, like 1, and I would like to get some variation to 0.5. And I think it's still too big, but we will be using Redshift tag and we can control size there, and it can help us if we make them smaller. We can like avoid a bit intersections between particles. So maybe I can keep in this way, but maybe just 0.7. Yeah, to something like this. But also when you're changing your particle size or some physical data, the simulation can look a bit different, as you can see right now. It's not super different, but maybe we have to change the side constraints. When we have a lot of particles, maybe we need only 8, and let's see, 4. And here I'm just add 1 0. Right now it's super slow, but we have to wait, I think, a few frames to see the shape for particles. So if you have not powerful PC, be careful when you add in particles. Let's see if it's not too much for our case. Maybe, let's say 50,000. I think this should be enough. because I clearly see like this trails with particles and it looks good. I'm not sure if I add a lot, effect will be better. Maybe if you will make it less size, then you will need more particles, but for now I think it's looking great. And we show lifespan, so we're ready to cache this one. So let's save this again. Okay, one more thing about the particles. So I forgot to add rotation to the particles before caching, and the problem is if you render in this state, so like this one, you can see the difference right now. But if we go to the display and choose, for example, we can use arrow and again. So as you can see, all the particles have the same orientation, the same direction, and on render it will be looking uniform, and if you have some close-up shots it will be not looks nice. So all that you have to do before caching your particles, go to, let's see, extended data and choose use rotation and set random. Also you can add a little spin for the particles. I will not use in this case because it will be not visible, but if you press play again you will see now all particles have random rotation and direction. So I think it's much better to use. This is the fast update that you can add before cache your particles. And let's build cache. Of course it not takes 1 minute and 50 seconds. I think in this case this cache will take maybe 20 minutes, maybe a bit faster, because it will be increased with time while animation go further and it will be harder to cache. So I return to you guys after caching and we continue to work with it. So let's continue with it. The cache took I think 5 minutes, so it was pretty fast. I'm excited with it. And let's see what we have. We can turn off all this for now. It's not real time, but we can see how the particle shape looks. For me it's pretty nice for fast result. And of course viewport super slow right now, but we don't need a lot to do with it for now. So the next part will be to create some floor for this one. You can use Cinema 4D landscape, you can sculpt the landscape to get faster result. I'll be use Terraform FX. So let's get simple terrain, and I don't need this material. I just need for now grid. Actually let's delete this one and create all from scratch. So let's make it bigger, something like this one. And for operator I need grid, and we can start with 5x5 points. So the first one of course will be to make it higher. I don't like this standard light. Or I can turn on. Okay, so let's see. Maybe something like this. And for rendering, I would like to place to don't see like edges in the render. It can be different cases to render this and visualize. I'm just looking for something fast and simple for tutorial. Something like this. Let's create a camera. Maybe 150 for lenses. Oops. Okay. Yeah, we can start with something like this one and move it a little bit. Like with, yeah, like this one. And now let's add some details here. So to add noise, maybe from advanced mode we can go to max on. Let's use tuple and visual auto scale. See, maybe we need more details. Let's add some polygons. Now noise much detailed. And let's see, maybe turbulence. I like this one. Also, we can mix this one with shader and displacement, so I think for rendering like just floor it should works great. So we have this one, and the next part we have to add some stones to the flag, so it will be like flag stones. I hope it's correct naming. Let's create the matrix object. We will use matrix skater with prepared Redshift tag, and for this matrix let's place it like, because Cinema 4D work in hierarchy from up to down, so this should be last one. Let's call it flagstones. Sorry, forgot to switch the language. And choose object and place our class shape here. So now let's make it a lot. I think maybe 10,000, and make it smaller. We can use just scale parameter here to something like this, but the problem is we have filled all the shape and we have to use textures. To be honest, I don't remember what I used to make the same shape, but let's try to use plane. Let's use plane effector with scale parameter, not rotation, scale, uniform, -1. And then inside fields, let's try to use shader field. Let me see where it is, shader field. And we will be use alpha and use the same material. Nothing happened on some reason. Okay, now it works, but we have to invert. Let's see. Yeah, now it works. And now we have to use textures like we have here, but with Redshift to make the same color for flag, for these stones. So what we need, I think we can use for tutorial. Let me see here inside Terraform presets. Oh, we have the F-Rock. We don't need subdivisions. Let's see to the shape. Sphere. Maybe we can boil it. Okay, don't like this one. It's not a problem. Let's create custom one, super fast. I'll be using cube. Super small, something like this one. Let's solo and make this one editable. And the main thing here to create shape that can reflect material, because we use something like gold or metallic material, so we don't need any subdivisions and we need some fillets on the edges. So for this one, I'm going to the point mode. Let's customize it randomly this way. It's not best to rock the world, but let's see, MS, and make some fillet here. And then this one, maybe this one, let's see, it's too much. Maybe this edge. And change this one too. I can say it's pretty nice rock, but it should be reflected, and that's all that we need, because it will be or super small, and you don't have to spend a lot of time for things that the viewer can see, so only you know how beautiful your rocks is or stones. So I don't want to spend a lot of time for this one. So let me select this one and add some bevel. 0.1. Let's see, too much. 0.5. To something like this. Let me connect this one and delete, so we have solid shape. Let's copy this one and just change shape a little bit. Maybe rotate. To something like this. So we have all these three stones. Let's group them together and make it stones. I place this one inside. So now let's show everything. And let's go to the Redshift. I have my Redshift layout. And this was for vertical, and this one for horizontal. I'm go to layers. I have prepared Redshift folder with HDRI map. We can use this one just to check the shader. Okay, so the problem is I had this problem before. If I maybe not this problem right now, if I create standards Redshift material, let me show you, and place this one here. For now it works, so let's just build the shader. We need two textures that I prepared. So these two, if you work in ACES workflow, convert your textures to correct. For example, when we have color, we use sRGB, and for black and white, we use in rough. And let's add this one to opacity, and this one to color. Okay. And now we have to use this one to color our stones. Let's see if it is it to use. So we have these flex stones. Let's go. Actually, we don't see anything right now. Let me start to emit something. And let me turn off the regional flag for now. Yeah. And I can't see anything. Let me regenerate again. Okay, now we see the matrices, and right now it's too small, so let's switch to 0.5. For some reason you always have to go and restart your animation. It's weird, it's not simulation, but it's how it works. So first we see the pretty small particles for now. Now it's better, and we have to add more. Let's multiply by 3, maybe 5, just something like this. And the second one, let's go to the flex tones, select this one, and first let's use, actually we need only random, so inside this random we don't need position, but we need a lot of rotation and a bit for scale, maybe 0.3. Something like this. Now we can choose Redshift render tag and choose custom object, open stones folder, and pick all these 3. Actually it's 5, yeah, and restart again. So this is our stones, yeah, and let me apply this flag material to these stones and on each of this one. Good. And the problem is we can't see the color correctly. So the first, let's go to the plane fields, and for this shader field we have to choose color. Let's see again. Actually, let's create separated one to translate the color from shader. I think we can just, let me select the flex tones, because right now it's coloring like separated element. So let me select this one, create one more plane, make plane color, and also same here, we choose shader field, custom shader, we use color, and we have to get color from Cinema 4D standard one, and inside this plane let's go and choose only color, and inside the vector we don't use this one. Okay, and here for color we don't need, I think, this texture, but we use color user data.
Yeah, I think it will stand like it for
and choose MoGraph color. Let me update. Yeah, now it works. And now let's try to see our particles. So let's go to the emitter, render tags. Actually, we can just try to make all the same. What if I copy this one? And add this flux. Actually, we can't use this material. So, and we can't use the same sources because, let me show you, this is flux. Let me create Redshift material and name it particles. And now if I place this one, let's come. Let me go to the user data again. Add it to the color, but now we can choose particle color. And as you can see, we can't see any color because we have the stones like objects. So we have to place separated cubes there. So I go to the spans, copy this one here. Let's copy into utilities and change the shader for each one. And now select. Yeah, so now it works correctly. So we emitting with the same color. The next step, let's go to the standard material settings. For this one, add a lot of metalness. And let's keep the same roughness effect that we have like a standard one. We already see some reflections, so just doing the same for the stones and flag. I'm just add a lot of metalness, and to see, let's just rotate HDRI map. Actually, let me this one turn it off. Back. And let's create one more light source. I place this one somewhere here. So now you can see the particles shader. You will need some time to render this one because we have a lot of reflections. I have 2 GPU cards and it's still not fast to render, so you have to get some patience for this one. Or you can avoid to use reflective material. It can be a solution for maybe you will have different style.
Hello. Sorry.
Oh, it's pretty long.
It's a meeting. Teacher.
Okay, the render took 1 minute and 25 seconds. And as you can see, it's nice with details. So with right camera angles and lights, you will have to be pretty good results. So I will not rebuild all the scenes. So I'm just showing the technique for the flag creation, and it's almost done. So we have all the setup prepared. So here, usually for simple materials, I'm just using Grayscale Galleria plus library to add some, for example, some metal to the flag. And for floor, you can create like some rock shader or something like this. Let me see what we can do. Let's create something interesting. I'll be using noise, max on noise. Let me turn off a lot of these things right now because we don't need to see for now. So we have this noise. Let me solo. Looks like we have to update the scene and apply the shader. Okay, it's super small for now. So let's make it like 1000. And right now it's too much, but we can use the same, for example, turbulence like that, and make it maybe 700, something like this. And for this one, let's make ramp knot and the different colors. I think something closer to blue one. Something like this one. Maybe a bit lighter. Also, we don't need reflectance, so we have to add a lot of roughness and maybe some less IR for this one. And let's use similar noise to bump. If you don't have close-up shot again, you don't have to use displacement and it will speed up your render. Let's see and make it smaller. But it's pretty like super uniform. So let's create one more and maybe just different type of noise, like let's see stipple is highest for something like this one. And I think we can just multiply. I'm always forget what I have to use, multiply or add. This is my problem, so let's try maybe subtract. Let's see. Yeah, this one much better. Okay, and maybe just higher to something like this. Also, you can scatter some stones on top. For example, let's create one more skater. And here, go to the object and use terrain. Looks like, let me see. Yeah, I think you have to make this one connected. Don't need welding, but here let's paste connect object. Yeah, now it's much better to use. And let's say you get 10,000. And let's use custom object. Again, we can copy our stones, we can apply the same material, or we can, I think it will be cool if we use something actually copy. Let's name this one's tons copy. I'm not good in naming, guys, so
We hope that
And for size, I think we have to scale this one. Yeah, so now it's visible. And let's go here, and now we need less roughness and metalness. Yeah, so now them reflective. And of course, here we have to add random with no position, but again with a lot of rotation and with a lot of scale to make them something like this. But again, for visibility, and now it's super uniform again, so let's select this. Let's name this one rocks and choose plane effector. Use scale uniform with -1 parameter. Oops. And inside fields, add random field. And I would like to clump some values because right now we can see, actually let's scale this one to see to something like this, but go to the remapping tab and choose contour matte curve, and with this curve we can clump so values something like this. So now it's more obvious when we have stones and when we don't have. And just again we can return to the noise parameter and maybe make it smaller, let's see, or much bigger, and play with seed. I think it's too big right now, so definitely have to make it smaller to something. Yeah, I like this one. And of course we can go here, make it higher and make it double, something like this. Also, I don't like this stick shader, so let me choose. Actually, we can, I made two versions of this scene and I never used some like wood material, so we can choose wood. I'm always using these shaders because it's much faster to work. Let's update. Yeah, and let's turn on particles. So let me play. So we almost done. Of course, we can spend hours to play with the lighting, with shaders, but I think it's not about this tutorial. So I don't want to spend a lot of time for you for this one, and it can be too boring just in one tutorial for you guys. So maybe I will record some tutorial for lighting, like separated video. But right now I just go inside the camera and I will show what usually I'm using for camera. So we play in somewhere here, go inside the camera.
What then?
And it definitely required to add a lot of light, so I still have to add. So we have this one. Actually, we also can use some HDRI because I have a few cool maps. For example, again, I'm using drop zone. You can just place your HDRI map directly here. I will be using drop zone, so I place my texture here and open library. And I would like to use space, and I think something like this was polar light. So let me see the background. And we have to rotate, I think. So yeah. Oh my god, I used both. Let me delete this one. We still see previous one on some reason. Okay, let me clear all of this so we don't have any maps right now. Let's go again and choose this one. Yeah. Now I have to rotate. I can see. So let's go outside the camera. So where is the actual map? I think maybe this one a little bit lower. Yeah, so now we're starting to see. Let me go inside the camera. Yeah, this one's super nice. Also, don't forget, as you can see right now, we see like a lot of the like zoom it. It's because we have, let me see, we have 150 focal length. For example, if you go to standard, you will see much more. So you have to choose your focal length and start how you would like to render this. It's like cool for background, but I still think the previous settings will be better. So 150. And we actually can concentrate on these close-up shots. Let me zoom out to see. So we have some light here, but it's not enough. And we can see actually all the light because you have to render more passes to see the actual quality. But for now, let's focus on close-up shot, because on like general pack shot you're ready to render. Also, you can add just some effects. Usually people add in glow and something like this on post. I like to use Redshift camera tools, so I'm adding glow with less threshold. And we have some glow here. Let me see. Maybe one. Yeah, that one starting to be better. Maybe one here. And usually I make hollow 100%, and maybe 40. And for streak, it's too much. Maybe something like this. And also I'm using bokeh. So for example, we can go closer. Also, your glow and other effects will be depending on your camera angle and your lights angle. So sometimes you will need to keyframe these parameters. Just keep in mind that. And let's go super close to make some close-up shot. As you can see, we need some light here, but let me set up the camera. And I will choose this focus point. Use bokeh. We have 150, so we have super low value here. Like this one. And usually I'm using bokeh image to make it nicer. Let's do something like this one. And to see something, we need to make more lights. That's not too much right now. So for the first one, I think We have to rotate this one a bit. We can make it wider. And of course you have to return inside your camera and change your lens effects parameter. It's overglowed right now, so maybe 5. The same here. Actually I like, let me see. Here there's 5 and 100. I like this one. And here maybe 10. And we can, I would like to go closer. Also, you can set up your focus with some null object for still frame. I'm just pick some here. It will be depending on your camera and on your animation, which way will be better to use. So let me, I think it's still too much because we would like to see something. And maybe right now it's too much for aperture, maybe 0.5. And for this doom light, maybe increase exposure. And details, maybe 3 for global illumination. Because I just would like for now render frame to see the stones, to see the shader. I think it would take around 3 minutes to render. Okay, so the render took 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and it's like super small image right now. So be careful with it when you have a lot of particles and a lot of reflective materials. But to make it better, I will need to spend another hour to work with the lights and with the environment. So we skip this one to another tutorial, and let me show you the end result that I made for my personal project. So it looks like this one. Now it's not good quality. So we have a lot of details. I think this one, it's not too reflective, and we have smaller stones, but much more stones. Also, I not using tearing effect for texture and for flag. But this is the result that you can get with this technique. So let me know if you do have any questions, because I'm not experienced YouTuber and I don't know all the field that I can explain you. So just write in comment. Maybe I record detailed tutorial about some parts and we'll try to explain it better. Thank you for watching this, and I will see you in next tutorial soon.